Welcome to my broadcast about Blackboard and how I use Blackboard to assess student learning. So I've been using Blackboard now since school started, so about 9 weeks. I am not new to giving online tests, but I was new to giving it in Blackboard. The reason I chose Blackboard is because, our school is using it and all of our content's on it. The reason I like to use it for my test is it allows me to have adaptive release. If you can see in this part right here where it says adaptive release, it also allows me it's easy to set up the questions and type them in. I can use stuff, I can cut and paste if I need to. It definitely has an equation editor, which is something we, as math teachers, we're always going to look for. It let me set up standards for the test. Let me show you first here. I'm going to go into edit the test options and show you a couple of things that I think are pretty important with Blackboard. One of the things that you can do is you can create a password. So as soon as you create the test, you can go ahead and really put them in your Blackboard, but a student can't access it until they know a password. So you can see I definitely have mine password protected. If I want the test to push over to Infinite Campus, which is the grading platform we use, I can click on the due date and it will definitely pop over there for me, and I won't have to do anything other than set it up in my Infinite Campus. This is the other function I really like about Blackboard is right here, how I can release the test items. So I can choose to let the kids see them at a certain time, after submission, at end date. Now, I personally like to use after all attempts are graded. That way, if I have somebody that was absent from class, then they're not going to have access to any of the questions from their classmates before they take their test. I release back all the answers, the correct answers, and then what the student submitted. Another things that I like to set up is how they see the test. And one of the things I like the best is one at a time. I don't like the kids to have to look at the whole thing. And you'll notice a couple other things. You can prohibit backtracking. I'd rather than backtrack. And you can definitely randomize the questions, which you'll notice I definitely click. That way, when I have 20 kids logging on, they're going to pretty much all be in different places. It's very easy to just go through and click what you need. So I'm just going to click submit. It's going to take me back. Now, the other thing that I like that I took the time to do, and one of the reasons why I think as a teacher you would consider using Blackboard to give your test, is this option right here. So I'm going to edit this test. I'm going to open up and let you see what my test looks like. So what I did for this last test is, because my kids need feedback, they need to know why they missed a question. So I took the time in every one of the questions I created to type in an incorrect feedback. So that means if they don't select the correct answer, they will see the question, they'll see the answer they chose, and then they'll see my incorrect feedback, meaning what they did wrong and how to work the question correctly. Now, this definitely can take some time setting up. You can notice like that took me a little while to type in, but this also is more a one-time deal, because if I choose to use this next year, all these questions are still here. I won't have to do it again. So basically I can create a question bank that I can go back into these questions and pull them out for future use. So you can even see right here, I talked to the kids about how I graphed it on my calculator, and that was the best way to do it. And like I said, I took a screenshot of my calculator and put it in there. I did that actually in a couple of places. I ran out of room right there, so I had to type in the over to. But I'm going to click on OK, and I want to talk a little bit about adaptive release. So this is in my calculus class. And so in my calculus class, all of our tests are two parts. We have a part that's calculator and a part that is no calculator. So I have to create the two parts separately. So I usually have them start with the calculator OK portion, and that will have a password on it. All right, then I'll go into my no calculator, and it will be adaptively released. Now, what that means is a student can't open this up until they've completed this portion. So it is really easy to set up. You just go under adaptive release, click on it. It's not even the advanced. You come down here and you talk about a grade. It says select a grade. So basically I select the calculator, and I'm just going to click, and you can see all the assignments that I've done are listed right there. And I just find the one that says calculator. Okay. And then I select user has at least one attempt, because they would only have one attempt. So then I click submit. And so now when they finish their calculator portion, the OK, they'll be able to click on the no calculator portion and enter it. And this is how I use my Blackboard. Now, why is it beneficial to students? Well, for the first reason, I think it's beneficial because they have feedback. In a multiple choice test, I can type in the feedback. So when they go in and they look at their material, they can see, okay, this is why I've missed the question. All right. The other reason I think it's beneficial for students is they have access to their old test. So they don't have to worry about, well, did the teacher keep their old test? Did they lose their old test? Everything's being stored for them in their online platform, meaning they can go back to it in their learning center and see a test and go through it and use it to study. Also, I think it's beneficial for students in the sense of we are now in a digital age. That means they need to be prepared to take a test online. Our standardized test for our 9th and 10th graders is an online test. So they're used to taking tests online. So we need to constantly be aware that it's an online learning environment. Many college classes are online and their tests are online. So if I can reinforce and get them to learn how to take tests online during the course of my year with them, then I think I'll be creating better students in the long run. I definitely would encourage all the teachers to look into using this. Our principal has set us the standard of giving at least one test through Blackboard, and it's so easy to do. The other thing that I really enjoy about it is the grades go right into my Blackboard, which pushes over to my Infinite Campus. So I don't ever really have to worry so much about entering grades in Infinite Campus, because they'll always push over there. Before I leave this video with you, I'm going to take a minute here to take you to my other class, which is my pre-calculus class. Let me go ahead and just select that right there. And so this is my pre-calculus class. So this was our part 1 of our unit. I'm going to go into it here, and I want to show you the test that we took in here. And I just want you to know that you don't always have to pick multiple choice questions. You can choose any type of questions you want. I'm going to go in here and edit the test so you can see some of my questions. And you'll notice that in this test, I had a matching section. I definitely had some multiple choice questions. I embedded graphs that came from Desmos that I put points on so it was easy to read. I just load them as images. Matter of fact, PNG images, so they're easily displayed on a device. I also put in some short answer questions. As I get down to the bottom here, you'll see, well, maybe you won't see. Back up. I know I put in questions right here where they had to type in how to factor. So again, I can put a variety of questions on a test, even requiring work to be shown. It's that easy to do. So I definitely would encourage everybody to look into using Blackboard as a testing option.